Mr. Mulder, we have you back. I know. Of course, let's just go right back to the question that Faith had asked, of course, about what exactly is the gripe. And we're hoping to get this clearly because it'll lead us, of course, further into our conversation. What exactly is the issue that the multi-party coalition has that they want addressed tomorrow?
What we need to address tomorrow is to have the current speaker removed. The reality is there should be no instability in the city of Tshwane. The electorate decided in November of 2021 that no specific party should have a majority on their own. But we've been able to form this coalition consisting of 5 parties, the DA, Action SA, the FF+, the ACDP and the IFP. And these 5 political parties have a clear majority to govern the city of Tshwane. So the last month's instability is completely unnecessary. It should not have been there, but it's because the ANC and the EFF is not prepared to accept the fact that they are now in opposition in the city of Tshwane. So we've had a long process here of instability. First of all, where people were coerced and there were some people bought in terms of their votes in the secret ballot to vote that rogue mayor, Mr. Makwarela. And then again, there was all shenanigans going on with the election of a speaker again. Be that as it may, all of that should come to an end this specific week. We hope to have a motion passed of no confidence in this rogue speaker that was elected with the support of the ANC and the EFF. That should be passed tomorrow. And then the day after, on Tuesday, we have a meeting set to elect a new executive mayor. And that should be Silje Brink, the candidate of the multi-party coalition. So I believe that in the next 2 or 3 days, we will have stability back in the city of Tshwane and we can proceed with what we've set out right from the beginning to be a good coalition government and to bring services to the residents of Tshwane.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. I mean, you know, we keep going back and forth and the credentials being questioned of one individual and obviously, you know, the likes of Muruno Makarela as well as the insolvency certificate and the like. But this all would not have happened, Corné, had the DA candidate, which was in the form of Randall Williams, not decided to tender in his resignation because of what was deemed and what was accused of, and that was mismanaging the funds of the city of Tshwane, where we've had even Auditor General's reports coming in about an accumulative amount of about 10 billion rand or so, where it was wasteful on behalf of the city or it was not necessarily spent to the right accord. Now, the very same DA-led coalition at the time where it had Randall Williams, now wants to put in another candidate of Silje Brink. I'm not even thinking about the Tshwane Council anymore because we appreciate the fact that politics are at play here. This is a game of politics and about who holds the power. But for the residents of the city of Tshwane, they were failed by a DA candidate in the form of Randall Williams. How do you then expect the very same residents of the city of Tshwane to trust another mayor or mayoral candidate coming out from the very same DA? How do we, not even from the politics part, but from a residential perspective? Randall failed them, and he was a DA candidate. You bring in another DA candidate. How do you expect the residents of the city to trust him?
I understand what you are saying. Let me first of all just point out that in terms of our coalition agreement, there is no DA-led council. The council is led as a multi-party coalition government, and the other parties feel very strongly about that. They don't want to be led by anybody. But in terms of the coalition agreement, we recognize that the DA is the larger party component in that coalition, and therefore the position of the executive mayor has been allocated to the Democratic Alliance. The whole audit saga will be investigated. We haven't completed that, and there will be some consequences as well. There's already been consequences. We saw the resignation of the previous mayor. But I don't think it's fair just to blame the DA as such, as a political party. I think we should judge the individuals in their own capacity. And I think that we are all in agreement that Silje Brink is an excellent candidate for this position. He was a councillor in the city of Tshwane himself. He served there from 2011 until 2016. After 2016, he was a member of the executive. He's been in Parliament the last 3 years, serving in the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, dealing with local government. So he's adequately qualified and with the necessary experience to do this job. And he will be there as the executive mayor with the support of all the other parties. The speaker will be Marodi from the Action SA party. So the fact of the matter is we will be putting together a mayoral committee that will also be representative of the different political parties in the coalition. From the residents' perspective, they can trust a multi-party coalition. As I've said, the current situation has been the result of the ANC trying to topple these governments for their own party political purposes for going into the 2024 provincial and national legislation. We understand the situation and we will act decisively with regard to the audit findings, and there are also complicated answers coming from there. It's not been only the question of one specific year, it goes back to prior the time before we took power of November of last year. But I'm convinced that we are at the end of this instability period. And obviously tomorrow we will see some more shenanigans. The EFF and the ANC will most likely try to disrupt the meeting. They don't want the meeting. The same with the Speaker, who didn't want to call the meeting. But at last now, in terms of the provisions of the Act, we were able to bring a petition that is now being served, and there will be this meeting tomorrow to remove this Speaker that was elected with the support of the ANC and the EFF, representing his party with one seat in a council of 214.
Corné, you're already anticipating that there's going to be some commotion tomorrow. So what confidence do you have that everything that you want, everything that you're predicting, that there will be a different speaker, that there will be a different executive mayor, will actually happen? Come the 31st of March, what confidence do you have that Tshwane residents will have a different speaker in their council and a different mayor who's essentially going to execute all the service delivery that needs to be executed, that they've been waiting on for such a long time? Because you're already anticipating, at least with the ANC and the EFF, that they're going to try and do something. Even to add to that, what confidence do you have that Mncedi Mzwanana is actually going to listen to you guys?
Well, you will not be in charge of the meeting tomorrow. In terms of the Structures Act, in terms of Section 29(1)(a), the petition that we filed means that he will not be in the chair here tomorrow as the Speaker. He failed already. The petition was sent to him. He was supposed to call a meeting. He didn't do so. So the Act allows for the municipal manager to call a meeting, and that is what's happening tomorrow. And that meeting of tomorrow will be under the chairpersonship of the municipal manager, not the Speaker. The Speaker will not be in the chair. We know that the ANC and the EFF make huge noise about democracy and democratic processes as long as they are in charge. But the moment when it comes to where they don't have the numbers, then they will deploy strategies to try and destabilize. We understand that, and it will happen likely tomorrow. But we as a multi-party coalition, we've got the numbers, and we will be there, and we will elect. Even if they leave the council, we still have a quorum because we are the majority of the councillors in the city of Tshwane. And we will elect the people who will pass the motion of no confidence. It will not be a secret ballot. It will be a show of hands. And then we'll proceed. The moment when we've got the opportunity to elect a new speaker, we will do so, as well as the executive mayor. The fact is that the residents must take note, and not only the residents, the voters of South Africa should take note of the behavior of the EFF and the ANC tomorrow. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they will be disciplined, and I hope they will respect democracy as a process. Because if they don't, the electorate should take note of what we are dealing with, because all of this is focused on what will happen next year in the national elections in the province of Gauteng, as well as on national. This is a struggle for power in South Africa and in Gauteng. It's not only about the city of Tshwane.
Corné, I completely hear you, and I want to label with what you're saying about this being a foreshadow of the 2024 elections. And the fact of the matter is this: if a candidate comes out of a political party and that candidate fails to deliver on the promises made, or that candidate is seen to be corrupt, the indictment is on that political party, because the candidate that you put forward is a candidate that would be corrupt or a candidate that mismanaged funds, right? It's the same way. We would say the same thing about the ANC. If the president of the African National Congress is deemed to be corrupt, what do we say? Then the African National Congress. We don't single a person out, which is why I don't want us in a situation when it comes to either the Democratic Alliance or whichever opposition to say, no, it's an individual, it's not the political party, because that political party deployed that individual to represent the people. And that's just a fact, right? You deployed by your political party, you don't go in there as your own. So you represent the political party. And with that said, 2024 is literally around the corner. If we kind of stabilize the city of Tshwane and we keep flipping and changing about mayors, and this one does not have the right credentials, this one is seen to have a criminal record, this one can't be the speaker and the like, is there no kind of concern by the multi-party coalition that should we go into a need for a coalition government come the national elections next year, that actually South Africa could be brought into a brink of destabilization? If we can't get it right in the city of Tshwane, and we can't get it right in Ekurhuleni. We struggle to get it right in the city of Johannesburg. What hope do South Africans have that we're going to get it right come the national elections if the ANC indeed does not manage to meet that 50-plus majority and actually sits at about 45%, and so needing the rest of, obviously, a coalition government to make things work? Do we have hope for 2024?
Oh, yes. I've got lots and lots. I want to ask the viewers to watch the next few months to play out in South Africa, and you will be astonished to see what's going to happen in terms of a movement that will start, that will bring the people together, but I'll get to that. No, the fact of the matter is, for the election of next year, it's all in the hands of the electorate, and let me just try to explain it in this way. Our electoral system makes for a multiplicity of political parties. People vote for the parties of their choice. And that is, it will again be like that in the election of next year. But the electorate must do the following. And if they do that, then we will have a stable situation after the 2024 election. Because of the election system, anything is possible. But what we don't need is the electorate to go out there and to decide it's a vote between two parties. It's not a vote in the election of next year between either the ANC or the Democratic Alliance. That is not what it's about, and anyone who says that is talking nonsense. On the other hand, the electorate should not give us a hand to deal with electing a multiplicity of Mickey Mouse parties with one seat. That's also not a good suggestion. That is what causes the problem at the moment in these metros, because, for example, in the city of Tshwane, we sit with 8 parties with 1 seat each. And some of them then group together and form a little unstable bloc, not being responsible to anybody but themselves. That is also not the answer. So on the one hand, we don't want a two-party system. That's not the answer. We don't want a multiplicity of one member small Mickey Mouse parties. What we need is sufficient votes to be put behind the parties that have certain structures, that have a track record, that have representation. And then I'm talking about the larger parties. At the moment in Parliament, for example, you have 5 larger parties. I believe that if the electorate wants a stable government after 2024, your choice is between 5 parties: the Democratic Alliance, Action SA, the Freedom Front Plus, the ACDP, and the IFP. That is your choice. If people support those 5 parties and give them the necessary, they will be able to form a stable coalition. Shenanigans of Mickey Mouse parties, and the ANC will have to accept the result and the outcome.
Just before we let you go, Mr. Corné Mulder, of course, I think it's starting to get static, our connection, but thankfully it has been holding for as long as it has. We talk about the confidence that residents, and I think even South Africans at national level, should be having. What now is next, beyond, your desired result, which is to have Celia Brink being brought in as the executive mayor, to have the speaker being removed as well? What then becomes the next goal? Let's look beyond the end of this particular week. What is the multi-party coalition then promising the citizens of Tshwane?
The immediate goal will then be to attend to the adjustment budget that we are entitled to do, and we are supposed to do that. That will be immediate priority. And then with that, the planning of the budget for the next financial year. And that budget should be driven, resident-centered, in terms of effective service delivery, so that we can make a difference in the lives of the people, the residents of Tshwane, in all communities. That is our immediate focus, and we will immediately apply our minds in that. We want to be successful in the city of Tshwane so that we can just demonstrate to the electorate how this can be done and how it should be done. And then obviously at the same time, we will be focusing on the elections of next year, because we believe that the province of Gauteng will also be under a coalition, comprising most likely the same political parties, and we're working towards the same on the national level.